I've spoken to Tony Blair, I've spoken to Gordon Brown.
What advice does Mr. Blair give you?
Well, I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of it, but actually...
Private meeting between Keir Starmer and Tony Blair raises big questions. You're not going to believe what just came out. While the headlines have been dominated by the usual political drama, a very different story was unfolding quietly behind closed doors, far from cameras, and away from the public eye. Keir Starmer, Tony Blair, two of the most recognizable figures in modern British politics. One, the current Labour leader gearing up for an election that could reshape the entire political landscape. The other, the man who once led Labour to 3 consecutive general election victories, and whose legacy is still as controversial as it is influential. Now, imagine those two meeting privately. No press, no official agenda, no public statement afterward. Just a quiet exchange, and the only reason we even know about it is because details somehow found their way into the open. And yes, people are asking a very simple question: why? According to reports from multiple political insiders, Starmer and Blair met in a central London location late last month. It wasn't at a Labour Party conference, and it wasn't at a public event. This was personal, strategic, intentionally kept off the radar. Someone close to the matter who spoke to a political outlet on condition of anonymity said, "They spoke for over 2 hours. Policy was on the table. The conversation wasn't just about the past, it was about shaping the future." That's a bold statement. And in British politics, the idea of a private strategy meeting between the current leader and a former Prime Minister is enough to send speculation into overdrive. Especially when the former Prime Minister in question is Tony Blair, a figure many still associate with the New Labour era, the Iraq War, and a brand of centrist politics that's either praised as genius or condemned as betrayal, depending on who you ask. For months, Starmer has been positioning Labour as the party ready to take back control from a conservative government struggling with economic pressure, public sector unrest, and a growing trust deficit. But here's the thing: Starmer has also been accused, even by some within Labour, of steering the party away from its grassroots base and closer to the Blair-era centrism that prioritized business partnerships, global alliances, and a polished, almost corporate style of governance. So when news breaks that he's been in deep conversation with the very architect of that approach, it's no wonder eyebrows are being raised. One political commentator wrote on social media, "If Starmer's getting Blair's advice, expect a campaign that's laser-focused on the middle ground, but don't expect big promises for the left." Another simply posted, "History repeating itself. Love him or hate him, Tony Blair still has serious political weight. His network stretches across international politics, global business, and high-level policy think tanks. But Blair's name also carries baggage, and plenty of it. To some, he represents the last time Labour truly held power. To others, he's a cautionary tale about how chasing the centre can alienate your own base." So, what could Blair possibly be telling Starmer? Some analysts suggest this meeting might have been about messaging, refining the way Labour presents itself to undecided voters. Others think it could have been about international positioning, especially with foreign policy questions already starting to creep into the election narrative. And then there's the third theory that this wasn't about advice at all, but about influence. Inside Labour, the reactions are mixed. One senior party figure, speaking to a reporter, said, "Tony knows how to win. If he's offering insights, Keir would be foolish not to listen." But another MP was less charitable. "This party has moved on. The idea that we need to go back to the Blair playbook is insulting to the members who fought for a different vision." And then, of course, there's the public. Within hours of the leak making the rounds online, hashtags like #BlairStarmer and #BackroomPolitics started trending on X, formerly Twitter. One viral comment read, "2 hours with Blair. That's 2 hours too many." Another countered, "If you want to win, you talk to winners. Simple as that." Here's where this gets even more interesting. If this meeting signals a deeper alignment between Starmer and Blair, we could be looking at a Labour campaign that's far more polished than anything we've seen in years, focused on swing voters, corporate confidence, and a strong international profile. But there's a risk, a big one. That same approach could alienate the left-wing activists and grassroots supporters that Labour also needs to turn out in huge numbers if they want to secure victory. And in a political climate where authenticity matters more than ever, being seen as too close to Tony Blair could cut both ways. We don't yet know what was said in that room. We don't have transcripts, we don't have recordings, just whispers, leaks, and a growing sense that something important was discussed. But history tells us one thing: private talks between political heavyweights rarely happen for no reason. They're calculated. They're deliberate. They're strategic. And if this leak is even half accurate, we may be watching the early stages of a labor strategy that's been crafted not just in the here and now, but with lessons and controversies from decades past. The question is simple. Was this a smart move by a leader preparing for the toughest political fight of his career? Or was it the first step towards repeating the same political mistakes that still divide the Labour faithful today? We may not get the answer until election night. But one thing's for sure: if Starmer and Blair are in the same room, they're not talking about the weather. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Stay informed.